Good morning. So, how are you doing? Also fine, thanks. Okay. Today we have the last lesson, and we will talk about the last topic of our curriculum. But before, let's finish with the introductional part, right? We discussed the previous time. And one exercise left. So let me remind you that we talked about different ways of presenting the information about something, right? And it was in exercise 4, 2 examples. And we discussed that these examples were author prominent citation and information prominent citation, right? And we stopped here. So, do you remember the difference when we need to highlight the author prominent citation or the information prominent citation? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in order of presenting the information, right? And if author prominent, what it means? Mm-hmm. 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 Uh-huh. Right. So, if it is innovation of the authors, yeah, and he's the only one who discovered this, so and was so prominent in these discoveries, so it's better to write him first, yeah. But if the information more important than the researcher, then to do opposite. Okay, and part C, reporting verbs which can be used in author prominent citations. We have to complete the definitions using these reporting verbs. Can you see? Let's see this one. Mm-hmm. Can you try? Something proof, yeah, is correct. But we just prove that something is true. Suggest it's when we have some doubts or not enough explored. So proof is okay, but more confident word than suggest. To show more confidence. Okay, might be discover, but discover is for another explanation, demonstrate or prove. So we are sure that it's true. Number 3. Observe. Okay, great. Suggest and again, not conclude, but when we have some maybe not enough knowledge, not enough information, suggest is okay, and possible. You see here is possible in explanation, so not yet confident explanation. Yes, hypothesize or suggest, right. Okay. Number 6. Yeah. Yes. Okay, and the last one. Yes, discover. Right. Okay, great. Well done. And now we'll talk about abstract. Oops, close the books. So we'll talk about abstract. Okay, the last one and one of the part for the exam. It will be the abstract for the article. So let's read some information about the abstract, why we write it, the structural parts, what to write, what not to write, and so on. After that, we'll do some exercises and a task for your independent work. Okay, let's start. What is an abstract? Will you read?
Yeah, okay. A concise summary of content of a book, article, dissertation, report, etc. It allows you to draw conclusions about the expediency of the more detailed study. In addition to the content of the work, the abstract takes into account its purpose, value, and focus. Abstract should be written after the full paper is written, and it may vary from 100 to 250 words.
So, expediency – це раціональність, як буде українською, цілесообразно? Доцільність. Доцільність, да? Доцільність цього дослідження. Okay. So, why do we write the abstract? First of all, for readers, yeah? because the abstract helps to understand the main content and save our time. It seems to me we mentioned it in the previous.
Yep.
Yeah. And also for indexing, if you want to cite somewhere, so this indexing also keywords, some keywords you can, or if you are looking for something, you type keywords, and after abstract we typically write keywords, so that is why indexing, it's easier to find some information. What should an abstract be like? Of course, it has the most important information. Also, it should be written in the same style as the main research. Keywords should be chosen carefully because they demonstrate the main idea and content which focuses on the study. And of course, concise presentation. Do you remember the word concise?
I don't for sure.
Це як стисла. Да, стисла. Okay, so clear and concise presentation of the material. So, structure of the abstract. Will you read, please?
Yeah,
should be included. Yeah.
Yeah, reason for writing. For writing essay. Yep. The same article. What is the significance of the research? Why should the reader be interested in this work? Okay, something. Problem. What problem does this work try to solve? What does the project cover? What is the main argument, idea, and etc. Methodology. An abstract may include specific models or approaches used in a large study. Other abstracts may describe the types of data used in the study. Okay, results. The abstract of a research paper may include specific data that indicates the results of the project. Other abstracts may discuss the results in a more general way. And conclusions. What changes should be implemented as a result of the findings?
Okay. So enter one more time. Although the abstract appears at the first part of your paper, it should be written after you have completed your full paper. Yeah. And it also I mentioned, it seems to me, the previous time. Yes. Once again, because it's a summary of the full paper, and it should be written carefully and only the main points. Okay, so how to write an abstract, basic steps.
Okay. Here's the basic steps to follow when writing an abstract. First, write your paper. Okay. Since the abstract is a summary of a research paper, the first step is to write your paper. Even if you know what you will be including in your paper, it's always best to save your abstract for the end, so you can accurately summarize the findings you describe in the paper. Or maybe you could write abstract and rewrite it in the end.
Yeah, but like, you mean like a plan?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, it's also a good idea because you can suggest, what you wanna do, and then just correct, amend some points.
You can see the main structure of or
Yeah.
paper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the second, review the requirements. Um, if you are writing for publications in a journal or as part of a work project, there may be specific requirements regarding length or style. Review any requirements before you start writing the abstract. Okay, I think it's also can be like in the process of writing paper.
You know, I all the time I wrote a lot of different articles. Of course, I can say I have written because all the time we need to write more and more, some investigations, some methodology, and so on. But all the time I write an abstract at the very end. And never tried to write an abstract before the article. Yeah, I've got a plan in my head. Yeah, like I've got an idea, of course. Um, I search for the information, but never tried to write the abstract firstly. I will try
Okay, and
next time when I write.
about the requirements, we have like methodological rules, which have like 30 pages of rules that I like read quickly and correct my work for that style. Okay, third, explain the problem. This refers to the specific problems that your research addresses or tries to solve. Identify your main claim or argument and the scope of your study, whether it's something specific or a general problem. Okay.
What about your research? Is it something specific or like more general? In
I don't pretty understand what means these words. I
so
think
you have the aim to write your and hypothesis, yeah, and it might be your research might be the continuation of someone's research, like in deeper, yeah, in deeper way to investigate something, or it might be just overview of all the information we've got.
yeah, I think it's just a review for now,
Mhm,
but
mhm,
in future, for example, to my diploma work, I will be extend this to my
mhm,
some algorithms. Now I
mhm,
um, now I analyze the
mhm,
sphere game
mhm,
theory, and we have um, like biometrical game for no, game for two players. They have some metrics with numbers
mhm.
of payoffs, and usually these numbers are determined.
Determined. Uh-huh.
But in my case, these numbers are fuzzy.
Mhm,
Means some number could be in different states on different with different um, probability.
mhm, mhm. And look, in the first part of your research, master's research, I mean, not bachelor's,
Yep, yep.
but master's. Of course, you've got like literature overview, what has been done before, yeah, and the main ideas of this game theory and where it can be applied.
Yep.
But for your second part, like, do you have the task, for example, to apply these game theories for a specific field or specific, I don't know, task
Mm,
for a specific situation, or just describe in the whole where it can be applied and give several examples? So
mm,
what's your task?
I think we haven't the requirement to use this in some field, because math
Mhm.
is like more abstract science.
Mhm. Mhm.
My task is now is to overview these methods, how to solve these problems,
Mhm.
and how to use fuzzy numbers in that, what
Mhm.
that mean, and write the program that can solve um, the template, no, not
Mhm.
template, the general problems in this.
Fuzzy numbers, yeah.
Yep, yep.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Sorry for asking several times
Yeah, no
because
problem.
all the time I can't understand the application of this game theory, because for me, like the word game, it's like entertainment, you know. So that is why I try I try to understand. So
Okay,
the value of your work and the specific task of your work.
the simple example of game is like it's like paper scissors, when you have two
Mhm.
players and
Yes, yes.
matrix
Mhm.
3 by 3, and
Mhm.
if you win, you gave to one player's one score, and
Mhm.
if you have uh, if another player's win, you gave -1 score
Mhm. Mhm.
to first player. It's a game with zero sum. Because of that, we have like one matrix to to both players, and if we can provide the fuzzy numbers of this, you can change 1, -1, and 0 payoffs to some fuzzy numbers on interval, for example, from 2 to 1, and
Mhm.
from -1 to -1, when and I need to solve some equations, system of
Mhm. Mhm.
inequations, for every possible um, variant of this game, when some
Mhm.
numbers are of -2 or -1, and directly or in between. Uh,
Mhm. And which methods do you use for these possible variants to present them or to check them? Yeah,
we
which
use
method?
method of alpha cuts, um,
Mhm.
when you um, like you have some alpha number, like accuracy or something like that, from 0 to 1. For example, if you have alpha 0.1, you need
Mhm.
to do uh, some space from the first value of fuzzy number and the last value of fuzzy number, and
Mhm.
on
Mhm.
this shorter interval, the fuzzy number could provide the real number, and uh, you choose like maximum or minimum of this possibility, in depends on what problem you solve, for first player or for second player,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
you you take uh, simple system of inequations and solve that in simplex method or Gauss method or another common method of solving system of inequations.
Mhm. Okay, I see. For me, it's so difficult because I have humanitarian type of mind. So, and these equations, numbers, it confuses me.
It
And-
it don't mind of methods. You usually need to find the maximum value that you can take um,
Mhm.
from all the strategies.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, so anyway, we have some strategies, some hypotheses. How can it be developed? Yeah.
Yeah, you have some strategies and you can choose one of them. It's like
Mhm.
um,
To
like
check how it works.
not to check. If you choose choose some strategy and your
Mhm.
partner choose another,
And
you
another
have
one.
you have
Mhm.
you
You
have
can compare whose strategy works best. Yeah.
mm,
After the results were obtained.
not about that. If you, for example, if you choose like scissors and your partner choose paper, you have
Mhm.
payoffs on I don't know how it called, on union
Mhm.
reverse, like union
And in Ukrainian,
pattern.
crossing.
Yeah, like crossing the
Mhm.
value, and and usually you don't know for sure what strategy you use.
Mhm.
You have some model of probability of strategies that you provide. For example,
Mhm.
I choose scissors with 0.5 probability, paper 0.25, and 0.25 stone, and it's called like a mixed strategy. And you choose, you need to find the best mixed strategy that gives you the best income.
Results. Uh-huh. Okay. I haven't even thought that such simple game like scissors, stone, and paper can have so difficult strategy. Never thought about choice when I play with my
Mm,
niece.
yeah, that's good.
Mhm. Okay, interesting. So we explain the problem, then we explain methods we used, yeah, to accomplish our
Yep,
study.
yep.
And after that, we describe our results, yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Share
But
that.
results of our experimental part. But in your case, you don't have experimental part, right? You've got like descriptive part of several
Yeah,
examples.
some theoretical part and some programming part.
Programming. Ah, okay. Anyway, you have programming part and the results of this second part.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
What
there
you
is a
expected and what are your outcomes at the end,
mm,
whether your expectations coincide with your outcomes. Yeah.
yeah.
And
I have some example of the
mhm,
game and explain it in my work and explain it
uh-huh,
also and solve it with my problem also.
uh-huh. And which
What
game have you chosen?
uh, it's not about game, it's about metrics and
Ah, okay.
what fuzzy numbers are in there.
Ah,
It's like
okay.
more abstract.
I see. Okay. Mhm. And general conclusion of the whole paper, yeah? Finalizing your whole work.
Yep.
And this is the structure of our abstract. So, uh, tips. Let's first watch the video with short tips and some examples, and after that we compare what was mentioned and what wasn't mentioned in this video. I will follow the link. Okay, change my sharing screen.
At AUK, we not The abstract is usually the last thing we write for a research paper or for a research thesis, but it is the first thing that people tend to read. So let's do it right. Here's how to write an abstract for research journal papers. Most research journals require the abstract to be within 150 words. Granted, some journals might prefer for the abstract to be really concise, so maybe within 100 words. Other journals might allow for longer abstracts, up to 200 or even 250 words. But for most research papers, the abstract should be within 150 words. And this means a typical abstract should be something like just 4 or 5 sentences, concisely summarizing the research study. Now let's see how we should write these 4 or 5 sentences. The first sentence usually tells what the research objective was. Let's look at a few examples. So in this paper's abstract, we wrote, this article examined how company restaurant servicescape influenced patrons' emotional states and behavioral intentions. Here's another example. We wrote, this study examined how work stress was related to employees' upward influence behavior. And a third example, this study investigated what hotel employees preferred as team building activities. So in all 3 examples, the first sentence is just clearly describing what the research study set out to investigate. So that's the first sentence of the abstract. The second sentence would typically describe the research method that was used in the study. Generally speaking, 1 or 2 sentences would be enough to clearly summarize or describe the research methodological approach that was used in a particular study. Let's look at those 3 examples again. We start with the servicescape paper. Using data collected from 149 guests at a company restaurant of a Dutch government organization in The Hague, it was found that, so on and so forth. So in this case, it is actually just half a sentence, briefly describing the source of the data. The second example was about work stress. Data were collected from 170 employees in a large logistics company in China. And the third example about team building, data were collected from 102 employees in a 4-star hotel in the Netherlands. In all 3 examples, the research method was very standard, relying on self-report survey data from employees. So the descriptions of the methods in these examples were all very brief. But for studies with a more complex research method, one might need perhaps 2 longer sentences to properly summarize the research method. But generally speaking, if your research method is standard and straightforward, then probably 1 sentence is enough. So that's typically the second sentence of the abstract, summarizing the research method. After that, we will probably need a couple of sentences to summarize key findings and conclusions. Let's go to the examples. In our servicescape paper, we wrote, using those data, we found that guests' perception of company restaurant servicescape influenced their emotional states and their behavioral intentions. Further factor analysis and structural equation modeling showed this and that. In the stress paper we wrote, results showed that stress was positively related to hard upward influence tactics. Furthermore, certain employee satisfaction dimensions were found to be moderators. And in the last example of team building, we wrote, results showed that socializing was the most preferred team building intervention, whereas outdoor fun was the least preferred by employees. Further factor analyses reduced the 11 dimensions into 5 factors, something like that. So as we can see, one would typically devote 2 or perhaps 3 sentences to summarize key findings and conclusions in the abstract, because those are probably and arguably the most important elements of the study. In all 3 examples, we ended the abstract simply by stating that theoretical and practical implications were discussed, but we did not summarize our discussion in the abstract though. Naturally, below the abstract, we presented the keywords. And that's the abstract for most research papers in its standard format. It is important to quickly note, however, that different journals' requirements for the abstract could be a little bit different. For example, this journal, Journal of Management Development, where I recently submitted a paper, they require the abstract to look a little bit differently. Instead of having the abstract written as 1 paragraph, as the 3 examples we just saw, this journal asks for the abstract to come with little subheadings. First, they use the subheading purpose for the authors to present the study's key research objective. And then, using the subheading design methodology approach, you summarize your research methodological approach. After that, under the subheading findings, that's where we present our key findings and results. And then we have originality/value. This is where we have to tell how valuable our findings, conclusions, and implications are. And finally, keywords, which is the same as before. But even in this case, where the journal is using a different format for the abstract, the general components of the abstract would essentially be very similar to the first format we talked about. The abstract is still a summary of the study in very clear and concise language. The abstract needs to be carefully written. Generally speaking, the abstract is the last thing we write, but it is the first thing that people read. As an example, when I read a research journal, I first read the abstract of a study in order to see whether or not this study is of relevance or interest to me, so that I could decide whether or not I'm going to read this study more carefully. When I grade a student's research thesis or research papers, first I read the abstract, because reading the abstract would enable me to quickly understand what this research study is all about. And when I'm browsing through the search results on our university's academic databases, I read the abstracts of the studies found in order to see which one is useful or relevant for my research. So this goes to show how important an abstract is for a study. And that's why we should all write our abstracts properly and carefully. And now you know how. The next time you submit an abstract, it better be good.
Okay. So, but in this video, we the abstract for mostly for articles is described, but abstracts might be for books, for dissertations, for any research papers. So they're more the paper, the more the length of our abstract should be, right? Okay, and here are some tips for an abstract, whether they were mentioned or not in this short video. So look through them and say what is not included or what is not mentioned.
Okay. Like force, maybe for each chapter or section, list keywords and write 1 or 2 sentences, summarize each section. Maybe use this as a framework to put your abstract together. I think we don't need to write keywords for all sections. And I think also maybe reference specific details of our findings. I don't remember that he said about that, but also he provides, I think, another.
So what's your assumption?
Force and the last. Oh, sorry, I muted. The force and the last.
Okay, it's not mentioned, yeah?
Yep, I see.
Okay, the rest one were mentioned, and also except what to include, it should be useful to know what to avoid, yeah, when writing an abstract. And here are also some guideline what to avoid when we are writing our abstracts.
Avoid expensively referring to other works, defining many terms, adding information that isn't contained in a large work, mathematical equations, and generalization. Many, several, few, a wide variety. Excessive or unjustified use of subjective adjectives, innovative, interesting, fundamental. Okay, unnecessary details that would be better placed in the introduction. For example, the name of your institute. Okay. References to other work. However, if your entire work is based on extending or refuting the results of particular author, then you will need to mention the name. Okay. And adding unnecessary filter words and obscure jargon.
Okay, it should be written in
Format
yeah, of course. So, and also there are two main types of abstracts, which are descriptive abstract and informative abstract. So descriptive abstract is shorter, as you can see, it's from 100 to 120 words. And it does not include methods, results, and conclusions, just a short information what is the article about. Often used for humanitarian and public works. And informative abstract, it's deeper because it contains more than 200 words, and typically it's 10% of the total volume of the text.
Okay.
It has background, purpose, focus, methods, results, conclusions, and data, which are briefly presented in this abstract. So if we compare the descriptive and informative abstract in a table, it's simply to identify what is included and what is not included in these two types. Yeah. So if we talk about the first type, descriptive, it's a general overview of the content. And if we speak about informative abstract, it's methods, findings, and results. And here are the visual model of descriptive abstract. So you can see on your left, right, the abstract itself and key parts on the right. So you can look through to see what is expressed for background, which sentence is presented background. Then purpose and aim of this study and particular focus of this paper.
Yeah, I see.
Okay, and the same for informative abstract. As you can see, it's a bit longer, and also key parts of this abstract are mentioned on the right, like background, purpose, and aim. This study examines, or they say examine sometimes, yeah. Then methods, questionnaire and interviews. These are methods to collect data. After that, the results. Here is this sentence here, shows that and the general conclusion. So this sentence. So it's like clear example of all the key parts of the also I found on the internet that it might be topic and our question, previous research there in 1 or 2 sentences, then methods highlighted with yellow, and findings and implications. This part is so also like visual presentation of the abstract. Useful phrases for abstract, which are included, like starting, the paper or article discusses, deals with, or analyzes, consider, like general sentence, for introductory, what the paper about. After that, we can say it presents, develops, studies, provides features, contains, concentrates on, also covers, suggests, proposes, shows something, demonstrates also something, opens up a new issue field if we discover something new. Or it's a comparative analysis of something, and then offers a solution to, or serves as an introduction to. And the main objective, goal, or purpose is, and styles of abstract, how to write them. So style 1, I found that, but maybe it's possible to write in foreign abstracts, because in our scientific language we use all the time we. Ми дослідили, ми визначили, там, ми дійшли висновку, навіть якщо це я сам зробив, все одно ми кажемо ми, в науковому стилі. Якби джерела іноземні дають, що I have never saw such style, but it's more typical for our country, for our scientific field, that to use we, instead of I. Also, in the third variant, we see the passive voice. It was found that without mentioning who. Or like generalizing, the authors found that also one more style which is appropriate for abstracts. And or tense forms we can use here. It's present simple, past simple. If the work is done, we can constitute as a past simple. Also present perfect, and for example, if further investigations are required, present perfect continuous, if something is not finished, maybe, and needs continuation. And as we see from the style, we can use active voice if we choose style 1 and 2, even 4, and passive voice if we choose style number 3. Okay, and here is the task for you. You read an abstract. Also decide what abstract it is, descriptive or informative. And here on the right, we've got key parts. So any amendments you'd like to make in on the right, where the key parts are mentioned, okay? So read this abstract and decide the type, the style maybe analyze, and key parts, whether any amendments are needed or not.
Okay, I could read aloud. Okay, risk analysis often analyze adversarial risks from terrorists or other intelligence attackers without mentioning game theory. Why? One reason is that many adversarial situations, those that can be represented as attacker-defended games, in which defendant first chooses an allocation of defensive resources to protect potential targets, and the attacker knowing what the defender has done, then decides which targets to attack. Can be modeled and analyzed successfully without using most of the concepts and terminology of game theory. However, the risk analysis and game theory are also deeply complementary. Game theoretical analysis of conflicts require modeling the probable consequences of each choice of strategies, but the players and assassins the expected utilities of these probable consequences. Decision and risk analysis methods are well suited to accomplish this task. Conversely, game theoretic formulations of attack defense conflicts and other adversarial risks can greatly improve upon some current risk analysis that something you can you
Yeah. Sorry. That attempt,
analysis that attempt the model attacker decisions as random variable or uncertain attributes of targets threats, and that seek to elicit their values from the defender's own experts. Game theory models that clarify the nature of the interacting decisions made by attackers and defenders, and that distinguish clearly between strategic choices, decision nodes in a game tree, and random variables, change nodes not controlled by either attacker or defender. Can produce more sensible and effective risk management recommendations for allocation defensive resources and current risk scrolling models. Those risk analysis and game theory are or should be mutually reinforcing. Okay, I think it's
what what type of abstract?
I think it's informative.
Informative. Okay, and key parts. So
some maybe risk key parts.
Background. Is it about background? This part up to how well?
Yeah, two first sentences. Yeah.
Okay.
Three. Okay.
3 sentences. Okay. Then purpose and aim. Do we have? Can you name the sentence started?
Like game theoretic and ended with consequences.
Are there any methods described?
They described method when like attacker thinks what they should do, and defender thinks instead of attacker also, and try to figure out what to do.
Okay, and the results are
the results and
general conclusion. Yeah.
Yep.
Everything is correct, right?
Yep, I think pretty well.
Okay, and now I will ask you to name 5-6 key words of this work.
Okay, risk.
First, after writing the abstract, we have to write keywords, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like game theory, risk analysis.
Okay, game theory. Okay, risk analysis. 1. I will highlight them, okay, with yellow. Game theory.
Before, however, we have
Yeah, okay. See, sorry.
Attack, defense, conflicts. Lower.
Lower. This thing.
One more here.
Attack, defense, conflicts. 3.
Maybe interacting decisions.
Interacting decisions. 4. And 2 more. Maybe this one, strategic
could be.
Strategic choices, and might be random variables. Yeah.
I don't think so, but
No.
be.
Okay. What? Maybe a more important word then.
Yeah, maybe we could choose random variables.
Maybe defensive resources.
Yeah, also could be.
Defensive resources, because our task to protect. Yeah. With defensive strategy to protect threats and risks, to prevent risk, threats and risks. Okay, and I will copy this shorter abstract. I will copy and send you in our okay, in Telegram, or maybe in our chat box. I would like in Telegram. Yeah. Okay. What I would like you to do, just to copy paste and highlight with different colors the different key parts. Okay, of this. Okay, send. And after that, you can share your screen and show how many parts you found out and distinguished, and different with different colors. What are they? Show.
Okay. And keywords also. Yeah.
And keywords also identify.
Okay, I have something done.
Okay, can you share the screen?
Yep. You see,
Mm-hmm.
there we have background in
Mm-hmm.
first sentence. Next methods like the cyber value.
Mm-hmm.
We adapt to IoT, both the cyber value at risk model and
Mm-hmm.
etc. The resulting, I think it's like starts from the
Mm-hmm.
resulting, but provide mm, from two calculations,
Mm-hmm.
calculations are developed and currently stale, and conclusion in last sentence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also,
Okay, and
keywords I
words.
write it here.
Uh-huh. Motel.
IT the first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So, enter after. Can you stop sharing?
Yep. Okay.
So, enter after we've done the theoretical part and practical part, it would be easy to answer these questions. What is the purpose of an abstract? Let's sum up.
To provide some short information about abstract, like
Mhm. Okay, short
synthesis
information about
about the article. Yeah.
the article or a book or dissertation, yeah, or any research, anything. Okay. How can an abstract help a researcher choose which paper to read?
Using keywords, the main
Mm-hmm.
idea of
Mm-hmm.
in what field this research are written.
Mm-hmm. And whether it's relevant to our research or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. What information does the abstract usually include?
The main ideas, main methods, conclusion
Mm-hmm.
of work, and
Mm-hmm.
and the reasons why the article was written.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The value, yeah, of this
Yep.
article. Okay, why do some people think a good abstract is even more important in the internet age than it was before?
I think because some um, researchers, maybe researchers, program researchers could analyze the abstract instead of analyze all article, and it could be better to find some information. Like
Mm-hmm.
you Google something and Google read a lot of data abstracts and choose
Mm-hmm.
what article show to you. Instead of
Yeah.
that, it need to analyze all more data, like in 10 or 1,000 times more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. It saves our time, first of all, yeah.
Yeah, and the resources.
Uh-huh. And resources, right. Okay. And part B. Um, So we've got A, B, C, D parts and their names, yeah, sections, names of the sections. Let's divide the names of the sections to an extract.
Okay. Um, um, Results like in first, I think that we have some numbers um, of
But here, if you see, we've got also the part discussion.
Yeah. Okay, I think
So,
first introduction is B, like the resistance of organisms to extreme conditions, like the conditions which exist on surface, and etc. Maybe, or on not for sure.
So current surface conditions on Mars are extremely challenging
maybe
for life.
it's more like
Mhm.
introduction.
Introductory part, okay. So methods.
Methods is C, because they say two methods of 2 and 5 millimeter thick layers.
And what is A?
Maybe it's discussion.
Discussion.
And the results is B. Yeah.
Okay. And the results. Okay. So what is wrong in this abstract? According to the tips and pieces of advice we've read and heard, what to avoid, what not to include, to generalize, yeah. And what is wrong here? What is not taken into account? Not taken into account.
I think we need to remove from this abstract like refers to Nicholson and Schroeder,
Yes.
the numbers of conditions, and
in more general, describe it in more general.
refers to
Figures.
Pictures, yep.
Yeah, figures. Sure. Okay. And what is the best order for the extracts in the abstract?
Maybe introduction, discussion, method, and result, or maybe introduction, method, discussion, and results.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Так. Listening part. Just a minute. Some tips in listening part. We will listen to, and which section? We have to say which section was not commented on.
Okay.
I will show you the sections, all the sections. Can you see them here?
9.1. That all looks good, Mia. You've really done a good job. Now, the abstract. Okay, here it is. So basically, what I did was take the most important sentences from each of the sections and put them in order. Yes, that's a good way to start. As you write more, you'll be able to write the abstract independently, but that's a good technique at first. Oh, good. So here you have a nice clear background to the topic. That's a good first sentence. But you should never reference other people's work in an abstract. Really? But if I don't refer to other work, doesn't that make my work seem less relevant, less credible? No, not at all. You'll reference them in the introduction. The abstract should be very general, not focused on particular evidence. Right. Just in the introduction and discussion, then? Well, mainly there, yes. All right, so next you mention your research question. Good, that's a nice clear phrase to use.
Oh, good.
And you've narrowed things down to which kind of protective condition you're looking at. Oh, but don't go into so much detail here. I mean, is it really the composition of the surface which has an effect?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, just leave the first part and take away from due to the fact onwards.
Okay. So next I've summarized the method.
That's good. And you have another good introductory phrase there, but you have included way too much detail. All this about the composition, temperature, and radiation can go.
Yes. I guess if someone wants to know all that detail, they can read the method.
Okay, next problem is you've got a reference to your figures here.
Yeah. The line graphs of exposure time and growth.
Don't include references to figures in the abstract either.
Right. And how about the language? Is that okay?
So which part is not discussed in this conversation?
The results. Not
Part
discussed.
B.
Yep.
Yeah, part B. Okay, and there are some tips, as you heard, with the mistakes, the man done. And part B, axis of this exercise, it's whether the statements are true or false.
Okay.
Svenja thinks that reference to Nicholson and Sugar 2005 is useful. Is it true or false?
False.
So she points out that we should not reference other people's work in an abstract. Yeah. So number 2, Mia should remove the information on iron oxides and hydroxides.
Yes, it's true.
Number 3, Mia needs to include more information about the method in his abstract.
Yeah, I think it's true. But
Less methodological information and less details. Yeah? Then it's
Okay.
false. Next one, Svenja advises Mia to refer to the visuals like figures, tables in the abstract.
no, it's false.
Totally opposite, yeah, to avoid referencing figures. And number 5, overall, Svenja thinks the abstract is well written.
False. She says like his basic template is well, but abstract.
Okay. Exercise particular phrases to signal the purpose of each part of the abstract idea, and we should underline the phrases and to state the research question. Which phrase states the research question from this part?
Could you repeat?
So we have to find the phrase, yeah, which show us the state that Mia states the research question. So with which phrase helps him to state the research question. So find this phrase with the research question, how he mentions.
In introduction, like the question is whether there are any
Yes.
features on Mars that could provide.
Yes. The question is whether there are any features on Mars and so on and so forth. So next phrase, we have to find where he presents the hypothesis.
Mm,
So in hypothesis, we just suggest something, yeah?
yeah,
Something probable, but not yet sure.
maybe also in introduction, the last
Mhm.
phrase.
Yes, one
Sentence.
possibility is that, right? Perfect. Introduce the method. Introduce
In discussion.
in A, yeah?
Yeah.
And which phrase?
In
Introduces.
first.
Yes, first sentence, right. With the aim of evaluating this possibility and so on. And the last one, introduce key results.
In results. Says one sentence. B.
Which one, sorry?
B.
The resistance,
Yeah.
this one?
Yeah.
No, the results, these are. Here we report that. Report. Ми вже даємо якби звітність такий-то, що ми до того-то дійшли. These are results. Okay, the following phrases can also be used but be in to signal the purpose of each part of an abstract. So divide the phrases into 4 groups according to the functions in exercise 8a. So these 4 groups: introduction, method, results, and discussion. Which phrase for which group?
Okay.
Phrase A.
An investigation was undertaken to explore
Introduction, methods, results, discussion.
a method, I think.
I consider it's introduction. An investigation was undertaken to explore the introductory part, and then what we explore.
Okay, could be.
Number 2, it seems like that. So introduction, methods, results, discussion. It seems like that.
The results.
Okay. C, clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also
results. The aim of the study was to introduction. The data suggests that the results the present study investigates.
By the way, the data suggest where we discuss the data, it might be also a discussion part. So if we don't have discussion part, then of course the results. But if you've got discussion part and the word suggests, yeah, not so confident. That's why it might be in the result part and might be in the discussion part. F.
The present study investigates the introduction.
Yes.
The study provides strong evidence that also it's in introduction. We demonstrate that maybe methods or results. Yeah. We expect that discussion.
Yes. right?
We investigated a new method in verbing methods. The method involved verbing also methods, and was found too. It's in results.
Yes, results. Okay, great. And to be concise, brief, the same as brief. It's and not repetitive. We sometimes have to replace the words with that or those. In which case we use that, in which case we use those on the examples of the underlined words. Choose.
Okay. Those healthy volunteers, like instead of those, light that the wild, also that the yield, the structures, those, and the lithology, that.
Okay, so those for plural and that singular, right? Okay, and the last one, it's about the structure again, of the abstract. We have to write 1 or 2 sentences in which we provide the key background to the research, a sentence which states your research question, a sentence which presents your hypothesis, 2 or 3 sentences outlining the main methods used, 1 or 2 sentences presenting the key results, and a sentence which states the key implication of your findings. So, by the way, it might be the plan for your oral part for the exam.
Okay.
Because at the exam, as I mentioned, first part will be written, where you have to write an abstract to the article, and I will send you the articles the day before the exam, when we have consultation. I will send you the articles, and during this day you had to write an abstract. So using this plan, and also for your oral part at the exam itself, you should talk about your future research. I mean master's research, not your bachelor's research, but master's research. So, and the plan will be like this. The first, you have to introduce your theme. I hope you know you have the title.
Yep, of course.
After you define the background, like the main purpose, the background maybe of to the research, why you are writing it. Then you have to define the aim and the research question. If you have several questions, research questions, sometimes like from 1 to 3 questions might be. So name the research questions. And then you've got, of course, the hypothesis before investigation, right? Then you have to outline the formulate the hypothesis you'd like to research. After that, the main methods, but also to extend your presentation. Not it doesn't matter whether no need to do the presentation. So your aim is to show the language and the knowledge of your main terms, the understanding of the work, and your speaking abilities in English, communication. So that is why no need to make presentation, just prepare the report. You can also name the scientists who studied this problem already and their main conclusions. Also, if you already know the main methods, you can outline them. Then the key results, if not, of course, if they are not ready, just suggested results. That is why you can use here unreal conditional, or second conditional. I would like to get such results, or it would be with using would, could, something like that. And their conclusion, the general conclusion, like summing up what will be at the end. The value of your research. What is the value of your research might be instead of conclusion, because of course you don't have conclusions yet. Yeah. How long have you been studying for master's degree? 1 year or a year and a half? 2 years? Oh. Okay, almost 2 years. Okay, I see. So that's it for today, and that's it for our practical part, for our peers. So if you've got any questions, you can contact me. If you need some clarifying consulting, you can also contact me anytime. Thanks for being so patient, for your participation. Of course, I will take it into account. You have the highest score because you've done all the job, all the tasks. So thank you very much for that, and so see you, I think, in June. Yeah, on Calsot, because we've got 12th or 17th of June, as far as I remember. Just 12th. On 12th. Okay, so as far as I know, the day before, the day before the exam, we've got consultation. So, and I will send all of you the articles to write an abstract. The last exam. It's a pity because I have light hand, because after my exam, all the students have light session as a rule. As a rule. Okay, thank you very much. Good luck. Stay healthy, take care of yourself, and see you. Bye-bye.